Have you ever wondered how a wall could change the course of history? At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary concrete structure, but the Berlin Wall was far from ordinary. It was a symbol, a barrier that divided not just a city or a country, but a world. This formidable edifice embodied the ideological chasm between the East and the West during the Cold War. The wall, stretching over 100 miles, was more than just a physical barrier. It was a manifestation of the Iron Curtain, a term coined by Winston Churchill, representing the ideological, political and military barrier established by the Soviet Union after World War II to seal itself and its dependent Eastern and Central European allies off from open contact with the West and other non-communist areas. It was a stark, tangible representation of the divide between the Western Bloc, with its capitalist democratic ideals, and the Eastern Bloc, under the thumb of Soviet communism. Constructed in 1961 by the German Democratic Republic, better known as East Germany, the wall was an attempt to stem the tide of people defecting from east to west. It stood as a stark reminder of the restrictions on freedom and the human cost of a divided world. Thousands risked their lives trying to cross it, and an estimated 136 to over 200 people paid the ultimate price in their quest for freedom. But the wall was more than just a symbol of division. It was a testament to human resilience and the irrepressible desire for freedom. It served as the backdrop to countless stories of courage, resistance and defiance. It was a physical reminder of a political reality, and its presence shaped the lives of millions of people on both sides. The Berlin Wall, a mere concrete structure, held the world in a state of ideological suspense for almost 3 decades. It was a symbol of the Cold War, a dark period in our history, but it was also a beacon illuminating the power of human spirit and the enduring desire for freedom and unity. But why was such a wall, a symbol of division and conflict, erected in the first place? The answer to this question takes us back to the aftermath of the Second World War. Germany, defeated and decimated, was partitioned by the victorious Allied powers into 4 zones. Similarly, its capital, Berlin, was divided amongst the Allies. The Soviet Union controlled the eastern part of Germany and East Berlin, while the United States, United Kingdom and France administered the western zones. In the years following the war, the western zones of Berlin experienced a resurgence. Capitalist policies and the introduction of a new currency led to economic improvement and a better standard of living. On the other hand, East Berlin, under the grip of a communist regime, lagged behind. The stark contrast between the two halves of the city became a powerful magnet, drawing a flood of people from East Berlin to the west. Millions defected, seeking a brighter future. This mass exodus was a major problem for the Soviet Union. It represented not just a loss of manpower, but also a direct challenge to the communist ideology. In response, the Soviet Union decided to take a drastic step. In the summer of 1961, overnight, East Berlin turned into a massive construction site. Concrete barriers sprouted up, slicing through neighborhoods, separating families, and turning the city into a divided metropolis. Guard towers, anti-vehicle trenches, and other defenses were added, reinforcing the barrier, all to prevent East Germans from escaping to the west. The Soviet bloc portrayed the wall as a protective measure, a shield against fascist elements. However, the reality was starkly different. The wall was not meant to keep people out, it was designed to keep people in. Thus, the Berlin Wall came into existence, a grim testament to the ideological warfare of the Cold War era. The wall symbolized the Iron Curtain that had descended across Europe, a tangible sign of the deep divisions between the Eastern and Western blocs. And yet, as the saying goes, all walls must fall. But how did this symbol of division crumble? The year was 1989. Eastern Europe was in the throes of a revolutionary wave, a surge of change that was sweeping across nations, challenging the very foundations of the Eastern Bloc. This wave of change was to become the catalyst for the fall of the Berlin Wall. In East Germany, the winds of change were blowing too. Dissatisfaction with the regime was growing, fueled by economic struggles, political repression, and a yearning for freedom. Protests were sprouting up across the country, the people's voices growing louder, their demands for reform becoming impossible to ignore. In November of that year, the East German government, under mounting pressure, made an announcement that would alter the course of history. They declared that all East German citizens were free to visit the West. It was a decision that sent shockwaves through the nation, one that was met with a mix of disbelief, joy, and a sense of impending freedom. Upon hearing the news, East Berliners flocked to the checkpoints along the wall. They came in their thousands, their faces etched with anticipation, their hearts filled with hope. The guards, overwhelmed and unsure, eventually gave way, opening the gates to the west, and so the people crossed. They crossed the border that had divided families, friends, and a nation. They crossed into a world they had been barred from, a world they had longed to be a part of. The wall, that formidable symbol of division, was soon swarmed with jubilant crowds. People climbed onto it, chipping away at the concrete, each piece a symbol of their newfound freedom. It was a celebration unlike any other, a spontaneous outpouring of relief, joy, and unity. The fall of the Berlin Wall was more than just the collapse of a physical barrier. It was the collapse of an ideology that had divided a nation and the world. It was a moment of triumph for the human spirit, a testament to the people's desire for freedom and unity. The wall that had once seemed immovable had fallen, paving the way for a new era. The fall of the Berlin Wall was not just the end of a physical barrier, but the beginning of a new chapter in world history. In the aftermath of the wall's collapse, a wave of change swept across the globe. The reunification of Germany in 1990 marked the official dissolution of the division that had existed for nearly 4 decades. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the resilience and determination of the human spirit. But it was also a moment of transition, as the country grappled with the challenges of merging 2 distinct systems into one. The fall of the wall also sparked the collapse of communist regimes across Eastern Europe. From Poland to Hungary, from Czechoslovakia to Bulgaria, nations began to turn away from the doctrines of the Soviet Union, embracing the possibilities of democracy and free market capitalism. It was a seismic shift, a ripple effect, that brought about the end of the Cold War and altered the geopolitical landscape of the continent. But the legacy of the Berlin Wall goes beyond these political and economic transformations. It stands as a stark reminder of a time when the world was divided, when ideology erected barriers not just between nations, but between families, friends, and neighbors. It is a symbol of a past that should not be forgotten, a history that must be remembered in order to prevent its recurrence. Yet the wall is not just a symbol of division, but also of hope. It reminds us of the power of the human spirit, of the unyielding quest for freedom and unity. It reminds us that no matter how insurmountable the obstacles may seem, change is possible. That walls, both literal and metaphorical, can be torn down, that a divided world can be reunited. The Berlin Wall, once a symbol of division, now stands in memory as a testament to the human spirit's unyielding quest for freedom and unity. In a world that seems increasingly divided, the story of the Berlin Wall serves as a poignant reminder. We've journeyed from its significance as a chilling symbol of the Cold War, a concrete manifestation of political ideologies that separated families and friends. We've explored its construction, a desperate attempt by the East to stem the tide of emigration, the wall standing as an oppressive sentinel against the longing for freedom and prosperity. We've relived the exhilarating moment of its fall in 1989, a testament to the indomitable human spirit that yearned for unity over division, freedom over oppression. And we've pondered its aftermath and legacy, a poignant reminder of a past that should not be forgotten, a beacon of hope for a future where division gives way to unity. The story of the Berlin Wall informs our present and shapes our future, reminding us that walls, both literal and metaphorical, can and do crumble under the weight of the human desire for freedom and unity. And so we remember the Berlin Wall, not just as a wall that divided, but as a wall that fell, reminding us that no barrier is insurmountable when the human spirit strives for freedom and unity.